Good evening to everyone. So we're just trying to get this set up. Yeah, welcome to this online webinar, exploring funding opportunities in the UK. And today, like you have gotten in your emails, we are going to be focusing on the Chevening and Commonwealth scholarships. So I have Prince Louis Omolaya Adekola, who is a Chevening scholar at the University of Sussex. He's also the International Students Ambassador. I think he's online now. I don't know if you are in. Prince, can you just signify so that we just, or you just turn on your video so we could just begin the meeting in earnest. So as we know, this meeting has been put together by the Young Leaders' Rights and Patriotic Initiative of Nigeria, YORPIN. It's a non-governmental organization that is focused on creating leadership, professional and career excellence among young people. And of course, it's based on that desire that we're putting this meeting together. My name is Anyetie Wisdom Williams. I sit as the Head Research and Development of the Young Leaders' Rights and Patriotic Initiative of Nigeria. And today we have the president of that and founder of that organization, Amos, who is also in the meeting with us. And it's a privilege to have him here. So very importantly, I'm going to be having Prince Louis, and of course we have enough number already, so we're going to be beginning the meeting. Prince Louis, can you turn your camera on, please, if you're in? Louis, we are happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here as well. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, if you can hear, just signify in the chat box. If you cannot hear, just say something in the chat box and let us know. So without wasting time, so that we don't waste too much time on today's session, we're just going to be beginning the session in earnest. What we intend to do today is just to take you through the Chevening Scholarship. As we have mentioned before, the both of us are scholars on the Chevening Scholarship. And hopefully already on the session, we have the program officers from the British Council, in British High Commission in Nigeria, who are going to be sharing a bit of information with us on the meeting this evening. But before that, we're just going to begin what we have in mind to do. So yeah, the idea is just to expose us to and share with us from our wealth, from our experience, tips and insights that could help you to or guide you into making a very, very successful application on the Chevening Scholarship. So what I'm going to be doing at first is, let's just begin. Prince Louis.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my slide soon enough, but I'm just going to give Louis an opportunity to just say something about the Chevening Scholarship, just a kind of an opening remark about it.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Anyway, so I want to start by saying that it's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you, Wisdom, for inviting me over. And I think I just want to say that what your team is doing is really incredible, and having this number of people coming in, and we can still see a lot of people joining as the meeting goes on. And I think that's really amazing, just being able to share some of our experiences and how people can also be a part of this opportunity is really something really good. And I just want to say thank you for having me on board. And hi to everyone who is already here, and welcome to those who are just joining us. I think for me, I think if you're going to do a presentation on Chevening, it might just be good for you to get started with our presentation. So I don't say what is already on your slide. I think it might be better for me to just bounce it back to you. So you start with the slides. If the slide is about Chevening, then you can just set the ball with your presentation, and then I can come in with the questions that you probably have for me later, and other people as well.
All right. I'm trying to get the.
Yeah, so while you're doing that, I will just go on with a little bit more about myself, because I think it's better for people to have a little idea of who I am and and how my journey, because Chevening for me, I think it's just a journey. It's really beyond the fact that we talk about my Chevening journey and all that. It's the point that you get to even get in the scholarship. It's you need to have, you must have been on some sort of journey that brings you to that spot. So like you said, I'm Prince Louis Omolaya Adekola. I'm from Ekiti State. I had my first degree in educational management with accounting options from Adekunle Ajasin University in Ondo State. I also had a master's degree in comparative education from the University of Lagos. And I'm currently studying international education and development at the University of Sussex. Like Wisdom said, I am also an international student ambassador. I'm a PG network ambassador as well. I also work in the University of Sussex Regional Office as the business development officer, and that was a role I do before coming here. So I mean I still handle student coming to Sussex and applications and marketing and collaboration and partnerships. But before I get to that point, I've always been someone who is passionate about education. You can see from my track record of my courses, they've been things really aligned in to my second, to my first degree and my second degree. They're all in the line of education. I grew up in an environment where I can see the challenges facing our education sector. And I've always been very passionate about doing something. And so I started quite early. Volunteering for me it was something I grew up with. I started my first volunteering experience at 10. I had a fast education sort of. So at 10 years old, I was already volunteering with the women Trafficking and Child Labor Eradication Foundation, Whatclef. Some of you might know, founded by Titi Abubakar, the wife of the then the wife of the then vice president. So from there on to when I was in the university, being part of a SIFE, now in Actors, and I started my organization when I was in Uni, Ambassadors of Africa, really doing a lot of work around education. And I mean, 10 years after graduating from university, I just thought it was important for me to upskill my work. And so I moved on to doing a bit more work in our education sector and all that. So that's been my journey. And so Chevening is, a lot of people often ask us the question of why is it that for me to get Chevening, I must have an NGO. You don't have to have an NGO. You don't have to be like me. I mean, I've just been someone who is very full of ideas and hardworking, and beyond hardworking, I think I'm a workaholic. So not everybody is like me, and some people are people who can just take one thing and they don't have to have their own organization, but they're like, some people are entrepreneurs. Sometimes some people, like we say, are intrapreneurs. They work with organizations, they work with companies, but they make change happen. And they are leaders in their own spaces, people who are working in gender, in education, in health, in youth leadership and things like that. Just people who can really find their niche and create that capacity. Because at the end of the day, you must be able to tell a story of you being able to create capacity for yourself and for people around you as well. You must be able to show that you're a leader yourself and that you can create that leadership opportunity for people. That's what Chevening wants to see. I mean, that for me, I think is a summary, but I'm going to go back to Wisdom now to do his presentation, just so I don't go too far into what Chevening is and all that. Then we can come back to me later, if that's okay. Are we still together? If you guys can hear me, please just let me know in the chat box if you can hear me. You heard everything that I said. I can't see Wisdom, so if we can't, okay. Okay, I think Wisdom is going to continue from here. So thank you.
Okay. I'm really sorry that.
Sorry, I didn't realize I had the power to unmute and to mute people. I didn't realize until now.
Yeah. Can you just make me the host again, and then
Okay, I'm
so
going to
share my screen.
Okay, great. Sorry, I didn't realize that happened. Okay. I think I already did. Did I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, great.
So this is a bit of technical issue so far. Well, I was going to do as I can't get the slide available. Hopefully, before the next of this presentation, I'm going to send the slides across. I will share it. But then, okay, I think you're ready. Let's just begin from the presentation I have in mind. Just to talk a brief about the Chevening Scholarship. What's the Chevening Scholarship? The Chevening Scholarship, as we should know, as some of us should know, is the UK government's global flagship program funded by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office and her partners. Of course, it is fully funded, including tuition, living allowances, flights, and essential expenditures for a master's degree in any UK university. All right, it's available in over 160 countries and territories, and an average of around 1,500 awardees are given each year. So I'm just trying to, let me sort this thing out. Okay, so I wish I could share my slides. So who is the Chevening Scholarship for? Like Louis mentioned, the Chevening Scholarship is targeted at leaders and individuals who are passionate about creating change in their communities. And it's important to emphasize that being passionate about creating change does not necessarily mean that you are founded a non-governmental organization, for example. No, it just says, are you interested in seeing that your community progresses? Are you interested in seeing that your community moves forward? Individuals who are committed to their career goals and their aspirations and making a difference in the world are also being targeted by the Chevening Scholarship. So the Chevening Scholarship is not targeted at academic excellence. No, it's actually targeted at your ability to demonstrate leadership and a clear career track or aspirations. So what are the eligibility requirements? Number one is that you must be a citizen of a Chevening eligible country. I believe that most of the participants we have here this afternoon are from Nigeria. So Nigeria is a Chevening eligible country, but just in case that you have, you are from any other country, you could just check the Chevening website. Just go to www.chevening.org and then you just check, search by your country. You check if your country is eligible for the Chevening Scholarship. But like I mentioned before, Chevening Scholarship covers over 160 countries, and that means it's one of the widest covering scholarship in the world. Okay, you must have an undergraduate degree. That means you must have completed an undergraduate degree at the point of application, right? If you are a student, you are not, and at the point of application, you are not eligible to apply. But then there's no minimum requirement. I've seen questions on that. If I have a 2.2, can I apply? Yes, you can. You don't necessarily have to have a first class or a 2.1 like some other scholarships would normally target. The Chevening Scholarship is purely based on your ability to demonstrate leadership and career, a clear career aspirations. So you must have at least 2 years working experience. That means this experience must not necessarily be full time. I believe that me and Louis are going to be talking about this much more later, but you do not necessarily have to have full-time working experience. So it means that if you're an ambitious person, you are still in the university, or not in the university, you are still doing your youth service, your national youth service, or you're just leaving school, you're not up to 2 years after university, you can still apply. Please go ahead and apply. Just think about demonstrating to the reviewers that you have the ability to create the necessary change. Okay, what are the other requirements? Of course, this will come later when you have been selected for interviews. You must provide an unconditional offer of admission before taking up the scholarship. We're going to be sharing with you the things that you're how, of course, you can check for university courses and how you can choose the kind of university that you want. You must have letters of recommendation, 2 letters of recommendation as of the time we applied. I'm sure that has not changed. And then you must also, I wanted to talk about the English language requirements, but as it stands now in Nigeria, that aspect of the requirement has been taken off. So going forward from now on, you do not need the English language, that's the IELTS, the TOEFL, to apply for the Chevening Scholarship. Okay, so why should you apply? I sincerely wish I was sharing my screen with you right now. Why should you apply? You have access to networking events, talks, seminars, roundtable discussions, volunteering opportunities across the UK. Of course, like I mentioned, you must be very, very passionate about creating change. And so Chevening helps you, it gives you the right network to be able to demonstrate this passion. So even while you're doing your study in the UK, you have access to networking events. I believe that you agree with me that other scholarships would normally focus on building your academic, the academic side of you, or the academic aspect of you. The Chevening Scholarship is different. It gives you a balanced progress. It gives you an ability to progress in a balanced way such that your academic is not left behind, and then you also have the ability to improve yourself and improve your capacity as a leader and somebody who wants to create change, not just in your country, but across the world. And then you join the network of over 50,000 Chevening alumni upon graduation. The Chevening alumni community is one of the biggest in the world. So you join we have over 50,000 of them, and that number is growing. These people are highly influential. We have a lot of prime ministers, head of nations, and all of that as members of the Chevening global community. So you have the ability to join this community. And then you study in the UK, which is one of the best global destinations for academics. Of course, you agree with me. UK universities are ranked among the highest in the world, and you would not think that it's a bad option if you are going to be studying in the UK. So Chevening gives you that opportunity, and then it gives you the potential to become a global citizen. How are you going to apply for the Chevening Scholarship? So applications are open between 3rd September. That means the applications are already on. And what you need to apply is to go to www. Okay, I think I can share my screen right now. So go to www.chevening.org/apply. All right, applications open between 3rd September and 3rd November. So this last year there were 2 window, a 3-month window period for application, but this year we have just 2 months to apply for the scholarship. So you have to just get going right now and just make your applications. And then, of course, I'm sure you can see my screen right now. You must be able to write quality and outstanding essays that should stand out. So you must write essays that should be able to stand out. And this is basically what, because myself and Louis are Chevening scholars on the Chevening Scholarship right now, we're going to be concentrating more, from our wealth of experience, tips that will help you write a winning scholarship essay. And I think it is important for me to put a disclaimer here that what we are going to be sharing here, even though we have the backing of the UK in Nigeria, the British High Commission in Nigeria, are purely going to be based on our personal opinion and based on our own experiences, and do not represent the views of the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office or anything affiliated to the British Council in general. So I think that that's basically all. We're going to be moving straight to, while we talk, I'm going to be going through the slides so that you have an opportunity to view what I've said, but this is basically the slides that I presented. But I'm going to be sharing the, interacting with Louis on the questions that you have sent across so far. Louis, can you still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
So that's basically the presentation I had. It's just terrible that I could not put the slides out as quickly as I could, but I think that we still have the opportunity to talk from our wealth of experience and just interact with the audience, and share with them tips and experiences that will help them make a favorable application. So when Louis started, he talked about his own experience, his own journey I was asking a question on his journey to winning the Chevening Scholarship, but he talked about his journey already. And of course, it means that the Chevening Scholarship gives you an ability to think and just to reflect. You know, with what I've shared so far, you should know that I've said that the Chevening Scholarship is for people who have abilities to create change. So you ask yourself right now, as you are listening to me right now, do you have that potential? It does not mean that you must have founded a non-governmental organization, but have you demonstrated this passion of creating change? Do you have passion to create change in your community, in your vicinity, in your nation and all? It means that you are qualified for the Chevening Scholarship. And from there, we're going to be beginning this session. So Louis.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so people will say that the Chevening Scholarship requires many years of work experience. Do you think that's the major criteria that helped you win the Chevening Scholarship? What would you say about that?
Well, I would say that it's not about the many years of experience, because if there is one thing that I've learned from Chevening is that the organization is actually quite true to their words. And when they tell you that they need only 2 years, they mean only 2 years. If you have more than 2 years, then that is good. If you don't have up to 2 years, you don't meet up to the requirement. But if you do have 2 years, which can be, like Wisdom said, it can be full-time work, it can be volunteering work, it can be a combination of both. But either way, you don't need many years. I mean, I have a lot of years, but I was able to gather those years because of the many years I had to apply. You know, some people apply once and they get it. Probably this is part of your questions. Maybe that was what you wanted to listen to when you were going to ask me the question about my journey. But I had a few years of trying it and not making it, you know. And in the course, I continued gathering my experiences, my work experience and stuff. So I would say no, it's not about the number of years. It's about the quality of that years, those years that you have, and the quality of the essays that you present, because you must be able to present your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think that I would definitely agree with that. The Chevening Scholarship, I've seen Chevening scholars who won the scholarship on their National Youth Service, basically telling stories based on the influence they were able to create from the things they did during their NYSC. So the basic point.
Even before, because you don't need to just talk about what you've. I mean, if I really understood what applying for Chevening was when I graduated, by the time I graduated, I had more than 2 years work experience.
Yeah. That's the point I wanted to emphasize.
I would have been good to go even before NYSC. I would have been good to go, but I wasn't ready. And I think that's an important thing that we also need to point out to everybody. Not everybody is ready to apply for Chevening. Let's just face the facts, right? It's not about persuading people to, it's not just about going to apply. It's, are you ready to apply for it? A lot of people want the scholarship, but they're not ready to give it. Sorry, I'm a very blunt person. Like, let's be clear with ourselves. It's about, are you ready with the requirements? There are requirements. It's like, good thing many people here are Nigerians. It's like when a lot of people were talking about a particular movie that didn't make it at Oscar. It's about, did it meet the requirement, right? So I often like to tell people, go and study the website first. If you haven't studied the Chevening website, don't ask anybody for about information about Chevening.
Yeah.
Because you need to sufficiently have information about what does the website say? What is this scholarship about? What do they want from me? Do I have it? If I don't, what do I need to do? So it is when you've gotten to that point where you've ticked some boxes, you don't necessarily have to tick everything, because if you can tick all the boxes, you don't need us, right? So, but if you've sufficiently ticked some part of the boxes, then you can reach out to people and find out more. So I think back to what we were saying is, it's not about NYSC or graduating or working with the Big Four or anything. It's about, what have you done outside of academics that counts as work? And how are you able to tell that story in an essay form? That's all.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that is important to put that into perspective. Where I wanted to go was, some people want to be discouraged to say, oh, I'm doing my NYC. Like you said, you actually knew that you had a lot of work experience going forward. Some people might be ready. They might feel ready to go ahead and apply for a Chevening Scholarship, and are just feeling discouraged. I've gotten a lot of questions like that to say, oh, I can't win the scholarship if I apply now. The point is, if you feel ready to go ahead and apply for the scholarship, if you think that you have demonstrated that capacity enough, if you have checked the Chevening website and you feel that you have checked most of the boxes, like Louis said, then please go ahead and apply. Sometimes, I think from my own experience, I applied for this Chevening Scholarship for a number of times, like Louis. I don't know how many times he applied, but I applied for a number of times, and then I got a level of rejection, some sort of rejections. A lot of people will feel discouraged and say, oh, I'm not supposed to be a Chevener because I keep being rejected. If you feel that you are ready, if you feel that you are well positioned to apply for it, please go ahead and apply. And we're going to be sharing with you tips that will make a great application for you right now. So yeah.
Can I just add, I think it would help to put this into perspective if I talk a little bit about my journey into applying. So I first heard about Chevening 3 years after I graduated. So I left university in 2010. And 3 years later, 2013, I was working in Lagos, and my boss in the office was like, Lou, you're very smart. I think you can win the Chevening Scholarship. And I was like, yeah, I think so. And in my mind, I'm like, what is Chevening Scholarship? But I couldn't ask her, right? I couldn't ask because I would immediately make her feel like I wasn't as smart as she thought I was. So it took 2 years of not applying. Those 2 years, I wasn't really thinking, the kind of work I was doing I wasn't doing it for Chevening. And that's like me. I don't do it for maybe I want to get an award or get a scholarship or get something. No, I do it because I'm passionate about it. I do it because that is who I am, right? So between those 2 years, I just went on to doing my work. And by the time I came back 2017, I was more than ready. But I think I felt a little overconfident that, yeah, I've gotten all the skills, I've made all those impacts and stuff. And I was bombarding my story. I was telling my essays with all the lives that I've imparted, the countries I've gone to, the things that I've done, the people I've reached, the stuff, putting all the stories in my, and then I didn't even get called for interview in 2017. And by the time I went back, I now had to take my time to go back and study the website, ask questions, read about it, read what scholars are saying, understudy scholars, just hear from them, So it is that point I realized that it is not about all the things that you've done. It's about what fraction of it counts as part of what you want to do and how well are you able to tell that story. That's you said. But one thing I must say is that for me as a person, my story is different because as much as a lot of people try a lot of scholarships, I never did. I just knew that I was going to study international education and development. I was going to study it at Sussex, and I was going to get the Chevening Scholarship. When I didn't know, but I never gave up. So that was just my story. So I only tried Chevening, and that's just it.
Well, that looks like a punch in the chest for a lot of people that will be attending this webinar this evening. But I think that the point that you have emphasized is very clear, and I would like to pick a few points from what you said. The first thing is a very clear career aspiration. We're going to be talking about the essays in a short while, but you've seen that before you should think of applying for the Chevening Scholarship, you must demonstrate that you have very clear career aspirations. You must demonstrate that you know what you want to do with your life. You're already creating those impacts, you're already making those changes, and then you have a clear thought in your mind. It's not necessary that you must pass through that pathway. When we talk about career plans and all, it's not necessary that you must pass through those pathways, but Chevening wants to see somebody who knows where they will be in the next 5 years. Like Louis said, oh, I will be studying international development in so and so university because I want to use this to create so and so amount of change. Right? So without wasting time, let's just go straight into the 4 questions. These are the most important part of the Chevening essays, right? Of the Chevening application. We have the Chevening application is made basically of, aside you have completed the eligibility requirements, which of course I've mentioned before, the 2 years working experience, which must not necessarily be post-university, the fact that you're from an eligible country and all of that. it now requires you to write 4 essays that will demonstrate to the assessors that you are really qualified for this Chevening Scholarship. And the essays are the leadership and influence question, the networking question, the studying in the UK question, and the career plan question. I'm going to be breaking that, and I'll be asking Louis those questions. So leadership and influence question says, Chevening is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influencers in their home countries. Explain how you meet these requirements using clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. Louis, how did you answer this question?
So I think I should start by telling people that don't start writing the essays until you know who you are.
Yeah.
Don't start your first word until you first analyzed yourself and say, who am I? What have I done? What do I want to do? Why do I need this? So maybe you can ask yourself those 4 questions before you start writing the 4 essays. Who am I? What have I done? What do I want to do? And why do I need this? Because a lot of people don't know these things and they start writing the essays and then it doesn't count as anything, because the people reading your essays have read thousands of essays, and they know what they want. There's a way they read it. There's a way they want you to do it. So if you don't do it well, you will not go anywhere. And I've had my fair share of that. And I think I'm in a good position to tell you, not the best position, but good position to say that. But also let me reiterate what Wisdom said earlier about the fact that these are just our opinions. We're not trained by Chevening to train people. This is just our own opinion based on experience. In terms of leadership, everything that I think Chevening wants to see is, are you a leader? Or do you have the potential of becoming a leader? Because at the end of the day, even if you end up not having a company of your own, or you're working with an organization or something, there is a leadership character that everyone possesses, and they want to see that. So if you've then asked yourself that question, all you need to do is look at yourself very intently and say, where have I exhibited leadership role, and what impact did it generate? They don't want you to go on and spending half of your word defining what leadership is. You are not teaching them. They are not secondary school students that you are defining leadership to. Now you say leadership according to this person is this one, can be defined as, it can also be defined as, and then is divided into laissez-faire, autocratic leadership, democratic leadership. They don't care. That is not it. The idea is, what I think they want to see is, what does leadership mean to you? What does it mean to you to be? And how did you as a person live out that attribute in such a way that it created opportunity for you and make life better for other people? Shikena. That's just you being able to show that you understand what it means to be a leader, and how you have lived out that attribute to create an opportunity for yourself and to make life better for other people. If you're able to tell that in your very short essay, I can't guarantee you, but you're doing well. Okay. Yes. So I think, in my own opinion, people have different opinions anyway, but this, in my own opinion, that's what I always look out. I always try to do when I am answering the leadership, when I answer the leadership question. And for me, because of the vast leadership experience that I have, I mean, I was the one who founded World Merit Nigeria, led it for many years. I had my own NGO and I had a theater company, so many leadership roles that I've taken. I needed to now take a fraction. Now, this is what I did. I tried to create like a path I touched on different phases of my life. I didn't talk in details of those different stages, but I took it in phases, and then I got to where I was going, and then I built it. right? So it's just
Please,
like
we don't have so much time, so we
yeah,
don't
yeah,
spend time. Yeah.
great, yeah, sure. Please do cut me when I'm over talking.
Yeah. All right. I'll just add a few things. I think Louis has said so much of it. I think that a lot of people who have demonstrated clear leadership potential actually do not know how to express themselves. So some of the tips I would like to share is that sometimes you really have to reflect before writing any story. I think Louis mentioned
Yeah.
that you really have to reflect. What have I done as a person? What have I done that has created change? You should be able to answer that question. And I think that one of the things that helped me in my application, winning the Chevening Scholarship, is understanding the method of writing such kind of stories. There's something that is called the STAR approach. I think that is very important, and it's important that we mention
it. It's very important for people to understand the STAR approach and use it.
Yeah, the STAR approach. So people want to just bamboozle, like, oh, I did this, I went to this place, I led these people, and all. You have to state what situation did you meet there. That's the STAR. The STAR is the situation, that's STAR, situation, task, action, result. So what situation did you meet? What was the context of the situation? What of the problem you were trying to solve? Because leadership is about sometimes creating opportunities or solving problems, providing solutions and all. What problems did you meet? That's the context. What was the task? In solving problems, you actually might have led other persons in solving that problem. What tasks did you delegate? Did you take some tasks on your own? How did you identify those problems and all? What responsibilities did you take? That's 2. Action, like the actions you took. This is what I did. And then results. Oh, I was able to create, the impact of that work. Yeah, you have to really, really state it. And it has to be clear in the essay example, right? So you have to be really clear. You have to say it very clearly and state it, not necessarily in the STAR order, but your storytelling, your example should cover these 4 aspects of the essay. That's very important. But I'm moving straight to the networking essay because we have lots of questions, Louis. We have lots of questions. So if you can be fast as possible so that we have an opportunity to answer all the questions that we have. So the next question, of course, is the networking question. Chevening is looking for individuals with strong professional relationship building skills who will engage with the Chevening community and influence and lead others in their choosing profession. Explain how you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity, using clear examples of how you currently do this, and outline how you hope to use these skills in the future. How did you answer that question?
Well, for me, networking was always a hard question for me to answer.
This is the toughest question for most applicants, so you have to be detailed with it.
That is the toughest. I found it very hard to answer in my essay and in the interview. When it got to that point, I was just shivering. Anyway, the logic is when you're filling the form, when you're writing your essay, please pay attention to some keywords in what Wisdom just read. I can't remember everything, but remember how you exhibit, how you're able to do that. Number two is in a professional capacity. That's another keyword. Another keyword that you want to see is how you are currently doing it. The other one is how you will do it. Now, remember that Chevening is bringing you into a world. One thing that we say that we are is we are a scholar for a year, but we're a Chevener for life. Now that we're currently completing our studies, we're moving into a world of Cheveners who are leaders in different industries. They want to be sure that you can go into that space and build good network and use it for your own good and use it for the betterment of your community. So what I think I would advise people do, I'm not an expert with networking writing, is look at an experience that you had in a professional setting where your leadership, remember you talked about leadership, your leadership role or responsibility or action led you into a point where you built network with certain person or certain people.
Yeah.
How you were able to nurture that networking or that connection, how you built it to a point that you converted that opportunity into something that is now relevant to your own career and professional goals. two things that I think I'm going to just point out because of time is things is reflect on your own experience.
Yeah.
Bring out all the key things they want to see in that networking experience, but also remember to link it back to leadership. Sometimes people write their essays and it's 4 different essays. No, it is just 4 different parts of a single essay. Bear that in mind. The 4 essays you're writing are 4 different parts of a single essay. So don't write your 4 essays as though they are separate essays and you are starting afresh. No, it's supposed to flow. It's like you're telling a story, right? So, but also don't be afraid to talk about your social media prowess, because that's also networking. But you might not really play too much on that, but use it if that is your networking. If that's, and you can also talk about how you use social media as a networking platform on a professional ground, and then it led to something. Maybe you got a grant, or you got a job, or you did some work that led to bigger impacts in your leadership skills, something like that. But I won't tell you how exactly to answer it, but just pay attention to these keywords, link it back to your network, to your leadership essay, and also remember that they want to see that you're able to build network within and outside the Chevening community when you do get in.
Yes, thank you so much. That was so elaborate. I would have talked about that as well. The keywords are your strong professional building skills. You have to emphasize on that. How you will engage with the Chevening community. I think this is one mistake a lot of people make. Last year, I reviewed a lot of essays and I saw that a lot of people have very strong networking abilities, networking skills, but then there is no connect to what will you do with Chevening. You heard Lewis said that he knew that it was Chevening. Chevening was the scholarship for him. So there's, as a leader, Chevening offers that right platform. So how will you benefit from the platform that the Chevening Scholarship is giving you? That's what it says. Who will engage with the Chevening community? I mentioned in the introduction that the Chevening community boasts of over 50,000 alumni across the world. And then in Nigeria, I think we are 1,600, right? So you should be able to think of how this community is going to help you, explain how you build these relationships in a professional capacity, using clear examples. So I think as I summarize this question, it's just
say that clear examples. It has to be clear.
Yeah. It has to be clear. Yes, it has to be clear. So what I will do, what I did while writing this essay is that I took out this question. I think I have about 5 sub questions in this, just took it out and just ensure that whatever I wrote checked or answered each of those 5 questions. So it does not necessarily mean you say, oh, I did this to answer this question, I did this. No, you write it as a story, but then you must ensure that that story answers these 4 questions.
Wisdom. I can't hear him again.
That must be network.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry for the interruption. Wisdom will be back with us shortly. Louis, you can take over till he is back, please.
Yeah,
thank you.
I think what he was just talking about is using clear example. Is very important that you use clear example, because one thing that Chevening would not appreciate is if you ramble. And a lot of people ramble in their essays. And I told you, I also rambled, especially in my 2017 essay. I rambled, like I was talking about what I did in secondary school, what I did in university, how I led this organization and another organization. No. Then basically it's about using those clear example. If you're someone like me who does a lot of things, just pick one. You can touch on, just mention the other ones, but don't build this one, build that one, build that one. No. You can touch on them, but build one sufficiently to the point that they can see the clear examples of what was the situation. And you can also use star. You can even use star in networking. You know, what was the situation? What was the environment?
You should use star.
You should, exactly. Then what was the task? What did you do at that point as well? What was the action that followed? What was the result? I was talking about opportunities. So I think we can move on from there. But basically, it's just really understanding the question. Don't start answering the question. I'm saying it again, until you have understood the question. Don't start writing until you until you've understand yourself, and then you've understood the questions.
Okay, let's move straight to the third question. Studying in the UK question. Why did you select your 3 university courses, and how did this relate to your previous academic and professional experiences and your plans for the future? The question says, do not duplicate information you have entered on the work experience and education section of this form. So tell us how you answer this question, Louis.
Yeah, for me, this one was an interesting question for me, because I think because I work in the university, I've worked in the university for a long time, and I work in student recruitment and stuff. So I know personal statements very well. The problem, and I like the fact that Chevening succinctly puts it there and say, don't duplicate. A lot of people, despite the fact that it's their wisdom, I'm telling you the truth, they will go and duplicate it. Those things that they've said, they'll go and bring it back and just tweak it. It's not about tweaking. Here, it's very simple. What they want to see is, what are the courses that you have selected? Why have you selected them? How relevant are they to, and it doesn't mean that I have to pick educational planning because I did educational management. I can even make a switch all the way from education and go to maybe software engineering or whatever, based on my experience. But I need to be able to clearly show why I've chosen those courses, why and how relevant are they to my background and to where I'm going into.
Yeah.
Now, I think one tip that I have a few tips that I will give here. Number one is, like I said, you need to first really, really reflect on yourself, using your word now, reflecting on yourself to know who you are. Where are you coming from? Where are you now? Where are you going? That's when you will know, what course did I study? Why did I study that course? What course do I want to study now? What do I want to use it for in the future? So I think that's number one. Have a clear-cut thing over that one. The second one is that it is not about going to university websites and go and pulling their words of this course provides this. No, you must read it, internalize it, understand why you are taking it. My own essay, one of the universities I picked, I wrote it there that although it is my option, but I picked it as a third choice because, and I gave a critique of it. I gave a critique of my third option. Now it's very interesting because the course that I'm doing in my first two options, they take a certain, and that's where universities in the UK are. They take a certain path to teaching that course. But my third option takes another path to teaching the same course, right? So I told in my story that I took this course because of the criticality in these two schools. However, I took this course as my third option because I also want to understand why they are not taking this path, but taking this path to teaching it, and understanding how my critical mind can play out in that to create an impact in my community. At the end of the day, you must link it back to leadership, right? So you're talking about the universities, you're talking about about studying in the UK, all the things that you need, you have to build it in a story form, not taking from the website and dumping it in your essay, but also link it back to your leadership, how you're going to use that experience studying in the UK to build yourself as a leader, to continue to give back to your community and to make impact in the world. Then you also need to talk about maybe when a person you met inspired you, maybe you met someone who studied a similar course and you can see all the amazing things, is you also playing back to networking. You must link all these three essays together, all right? So I think at the end of the day, understand the universities, understand the UK, understand the universities, understand the courses, understand yourself, and tell your story.
Yes, thank you. That was amazing. That was really amazing, Louis, because I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, so that was really amazing because I would have mentioned that the Chevening Scholarship offers the opportunity for you to sorry, the third essay, which is the Study in the UK essay, offers the opportunity for you to switch from the story that you have been telling about your past, which is leadership and networking, into what you plan to do in the future. It says, how does this relate to your previous professional or academic experiences? I want us to emphasize that, and this is my opinion though, just to say that this is professional or academic, because I've seen a lot of questions that says that, what if my previous professional experience does not relate to what I want to do? Or what if my previous academic experience does not relate to what I want to do? If you ask yourself the question and say, okay, this is what I want to be in the future, you would ask yourself, something that you're really passionate about, you must have demonstrated some aspect of yourself in it in the past. So you should be able to connect that to say, oh, this is what I did in the past. Oh, I want to be like, I've never studied an education course, but I want to be an educationist in the future. As a result, in my professional engagement, I have, for example, in community development, I have, for example, organized literacy classes for people. It has to connect. It's a connection. Your essays have to be consistent within themselves and amongst themselves. What I mean is that when you're writing your story, the leadership example is supposed to relate as you follow through, and then there's supposed to be a flow from the leadership to the networking, and then now to the study in the UK. You should be able to check all these boxes and answer the questions as best as you can. Very important it is, in the study in the UK question, do not focus so much on ranking of universities. That's very important, but I think that because a lot of applicants use that a lot, it does not allow you to stand out. Don't focus so much on ranking. Oh, the university is ranked. Everybody knows that. What is that specific thing that the university will help you to do? You have to be able to emphasize.
You can't mention it. You can't mention it. It's not like you can't mention it. You can mention it, but don't go and say is this. There's some ranking that you should not talk about. There's some ranking that you can talk about. If you're applying to Oxford, you know, you can talk about ranking. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's a different kind of thing. But if you're saying it's top 30 in the university and in the UK or something, it doesn't count, right? Oxford, for example, is global. You understand? It's a different kind of ranking. And I'll talk about, and I tell you this because of my university. You know, Sussex is #1 in the world for development studies. It's #1 in the world. I can talk about it. Nobody will crucify me for it. Because that's a different kind of ranking. And the reason why I can say that, if I'm applying for development, I want to be able to share to you. If I'm telling you that I want to be in a place where I can understand global development in a way that I can apply to any context and global #1 think tank, something like that. You know, the ranking is different from ranking. That's just what I'm saying. But don't play too much on ranking, because every university in the UK has ranking.
Yes,
either for their grass or for their building or for their t-shirts.
Yeah, don't play so much on it. I think that's the point. Yeah, you don't have to play so much on the ranking of the university. What you should do, just try to give a balanced perspective to your essays and try to see what exactly you are going to benefit in. At least you might be able to mention ranking for one of the 3 universities, but you do not necessarily have to say, oh, this university is ranked this way, that's why I'm going to, and this one too, and this one too. No, you have to be clear, you have to be specific, and then you have to show that you know what you're talking about. Okay, the last question in the essays, so that we'll move straight into the questions that we have. Lots of questions in the chat box, and that was sent across initially. It says, Chevening is looking for individuals who have a clear post-study career plan. Outline your immediate plan upon returning home and your longer-term career goals. You may wish to consider how this relates to what the UK government is doing in your country. Louis, over to you.
Thank you. So, while the second question is very tough, I've not read Chevening applications, but I mean for Chevening, but for if you maybe helping to review, we've read a lot. But this is a really big challenge for Nigerians. Let's face the fact.
Yeah.
You know, because I think generally because we as Nigerians, we really don't have so much big plans, clear plans ahead. If you look at it very well, many of us don't start planning for his secondary school until we're writing common entrance. We don't plan for university until we're writing WAEC. We don't plan for NYSC until we have gotten call-up letter. we don't plan for the future until it is almost post NYSC. And that's why you see some people going and crying that they want to continue NYSC. What I'm saying is, I mean, I'm not like that, but I'm just saying, it's just a fact. Planning, they want to see that you have plans, and short-term plans, medium-term plans, long-term plan. What I did was I picked a short-term plan, I picked a medium-term plan, and a long-term plan. I just structured it in that way. And then I also connected it back to what I was doing from leadership. The network that I built, that I'm still building, and you can't say that you've exhausted the network because it's supposed to be ongoing. I connected that back to it, connected it back to the course I studied, connected it to why I want to study in the UK, connected it to why the course I want to study. For me, I mean, I already very clear because I already knew I was doing international education for many years anyway. International education, I just knew that's the course. So I know it. I know the course in and out. I had known the course before I start applying. So I know the course in and out. I can teach it. So I connected all that and then to my plans. Some of them, my short-term plans, your short-term plans don't have to be sophisticated. Just make it clear enough and flowing through with what you're saying. And as you progress, it becomes more and more ambitious. Your long-term plans can be very ambitious. It is your plan. As long as you can defend it in your story, it's fine. Nobody will tell you that you are wrong to say that you want to be the president of Nigeria, or you are Nigerian and you want to be a president of America. If that is your goal, as long as you can defend it, look, you can get it. It's about how you tell that story. It can be, and it doesn't have to be big plan. It doesn't have to be, I want to be president. It can just be that you want to lead an organization that makes this. As long as you can say this is a clear part, and all the story that you've said leads onto it. Now, let's not forget the caveat or the instruction there about linking it with what the UK government is doing in your country. Remember something, nothing in this world is free. Even though Chevening is sponsored, fully funded, they want to see that their investment counts. No, it's a lot of money that Chevening is investing on each of us. It's a lot of money. Sometimes I think about it, I'm like, how can I pay them back? Do you understand? Because it is a lot of money. So you need it. And I think that realization sort of keeps us on our toes. In our studies, in our plans, and in the way we talk, in the things we do, within 1 year, you will see that the transformation, nobody will tell you. You will see that you have transformed. So I think you need to find out very well what the UK government is doing in your country. And even if you're doing, let's take for instance, when I was applying and I was applying for education, right? Education is not even listed in the list of things that the UK government was doing in the country at the time. It changes every year. And so don't go and take somebody's essay and say you're reviewing someone's essay, you're reading someone's essay, or they said that they did this, you go and take something from another year and bring it. You need to be current. Find out what the UK government is doing now. And I'm sure that with COVID situation out, with Brexit out, with so many things going on, it might have changed from last year. So you need to know these things and link it. And you don't have to now tweak your entire story to say, okay, because it's now maybe gender. You have never done anything in gender. You now say you are doing pad, giving pads to girls. It's not that. It's not that. It's about, even if you're doing something on technology, how do you make that technological program that you're doing more inclusive? How do you open it to more people? How do you ensure that it's a gender balance? Even if you're going into public policy, how do you bring gender into it? If you're doing something in education, how does it meet with this goal on gender? It's just very simple. So you need to understand, but align your goal with it, because at the end of the day, this is not a dash, like we say in Nigeria. No busy person dash you money. This is an investment in your life, in your future. that is expected to also give back to the community, to the organization that has funded you, and to the world at large.
Yeah, that's true. I think that one of the things I would like to emphasize in this regard is the important, I would have mentioned that earlier, it's important that you do not have to lie in your essay. A lot of people want to now begin to lie, to say, oh, you don't have to lie in your essay. You have to be sincere, because of course the assessors will find out that you are lying. So you don't have to lie. Be sincere, be honest, and just tell your story as best as you can. Try to tie it up. There's this document that's really, really helpful. I think if you just check the Department for International Development, I'm just aware that that has merged now with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Just go on their website and check what specifically are they doing for your country. For me, I think I should mention here that one of the things that made it difficult for me to express when I was writing my story and all is that I wanted to go into a science-based course, and people will say, oh, how are you going to tell your story? In fact, when I won the Chevening Scholarship, a lot of the officers that I met at the British High Commission met me and said, how are you going to use this to impact change? But you have to be able to think, like Louis said, you have to think and say, okay, what I want to study, how does it impact change? How does it create change in my country? How does it create change in my environment? How does it link to what the Department for International Development is doing and what the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office in your country is doing, and how you are going to connect to that? You should be really, really specific, and you should be able to state that. Now, I need to emphasize the importance of consistency as well. Your essay has to flow. Somebody has to read from the beginning of your essays to say, this is the person that I started reading about in the beginning of this essay, and this is the person I'm reading now. This is the progress that this person has made in his first 2 essays. This is how that progress will help him in his studying the UK essay, and then this is what he intends to do in the future. That's basically it. That's why we said that the essays are it's just one essay divided into 4.
It's just one essay. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. It's just one essay divided into 4 parts.
Yeah. So let's answer some interesting questions. One of the questions I want to have your opinion is that why are Northerners, people from Northern Nigeria, not particularly winning the scholarship? I think somebody made the observation and asked the question.
I don't know.
The program officer is here. I don't know if she could just...
Because this is not Nigeria.
Sorry?
So because this is not Nigeria.
No, and we do have a lot of Northerners. We have a lot of Northerners.
Earlier on, and she mentioned that it's because a lot of people from Northern Nigeria are not applying. So I think that what we're going to be doing now is to encourage, as many of you as are from Northern Nigeria, we're encouraging you to apply. The Chevening Scholarship does not discriminate. It doesn't discriminate on the basis of gender. It doesn't discriminate on just apply. If you know you are competent, if you know you are qualified, if you know that you have met all the requirements, please go ahead and apply for the Chevening Scholarship.
We do have a lot. We do have a lot of Northerners, don't we? Maybe not a lot, but we do have Northerners.
Okay, yeah.
We do have Northerners, but I think what Wisdom said is right. A former boss of mine would say, "You never try, you never know." If you've never tried something out, you can never say it's working or it doesn't work. So if people from Northern Nigeria are not applying, then they won't get it. But if they do apply, then they will. If they meet up with all these requirements. So this is a UK government scholarship. It's not a federal government thing. So there's no catchment area or something, So it's about it's about the quality of applications that they receive. So I think one thing that people in the North can begin to do to support each other is probably create the awareness in the North, or getting some Northern scholars to also go. The man who presented at our farewell, the Nigerian man, the only Nigerian presenter at our farewell was a Northern man. Was a Northerner. You remember? He's a Northerner. I think it's from Kano or Jigawa, or I can't remember. So I think people from the North can begin to organize training and support people and all that. But yeah, next question.
Okay, I think. So one of the questions which the program officer has asked is, do I need my passport biodata ready prior to starting the application, or could I upload all the
Sorry?
details at a later stage of the application process?
I didn't get that question.
So let me just read this question. What are the UK priorities area for Nigeria change with the merging of the departments? The answer to that question is that priority areas have not changed, but they have added the COVID-19 response, and then security and stability, climate change, demography, trade and investment. I think Patriot Amos is on. He helped with the compilation of the question. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, please, can you read the questions for us, please?
Okay, we have a few here in the chat box, and the first is, can a church recommend someone?
Can
Can a church recommend someone? That is talking
church?
about letter of recommendation.
Oh, okay. In terms of recommendation, is it recommendation for the scholarship or as a referee? So I'll answer in two ways so we don't go back and forth.
Okay.
Chevening, you don't need to be recommended for it. It's not like some scholarships that an institution has to recommend you. This one is you go online, you complete the form online, you submit it. But you need to present 2 referees. So these referees are the ones that if you do make it to, in our case, before our time, after the application, you get shortlisted for interview. But I think at our time, there was a long list. So after you've applied, you get longlisted. So they contact you. Once you've been longlisted, they ask your referees to present your reference letters. Then it is after the referees has written the reference letters, some people get shortlisted and some don't. So if you then get shortlisted for interviews after then, that's when you proceed. So for the reference letters, if you have someone who is maybe a pastor that you've probably worked for or something, it might work, but I think it depends. I think it really depends. For me, I was not going to take anything for granted in 2018. I resigned my job from the university. Let me tell you the fact. I resigned my job from the university and I said, this year we are winning this evening. If we don't win it this year,
that's enough. That's enough. Can we get another question so we don't waste so much time? We have to answer as much questions as we can so that we just give everybody their question.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that just ensure that the person writing a reference letter for you can say really good things about you.
Yes, very important. I think that, okay, let me just mention something here. You should focus more on the quality of your references rather than the quality of the person. I think this is one point I need to emphasize. Some people are going about looking for the vice chancellor of their university, for example, who doesn't know anything about them. The question is, what would that person write about you? So sometimes you have to have a direct relationship with the person. It could be, instead of going for the vice chancellor of your university who is highly placed, you could think of your head of department who you have much more interacted with, or your supervisor, for example, if you're okay, or your supervisor who has directly supervised you. Think more of the quality of your referees. Think more of the quality of your referees. People who can vouch, who can write statements that will emphasize everything that you have written in your application and bring it out. It's like Chevening are looking for a third eye, somebody to give a third eye perspective about you, and you must not joke with that at all. Let's go to the next question, please.
Okay, the next question here is it bad to give people your essay for review?
Come again.
Is it bad to give people your essay for review?
I don't
think that's bad. Okay.
What?
I don't think that's bad. You don't have to allow people to write your essays for you. I think that's where the issue is. As a scholar,
Yeah.
I use lots of essays. You really need a third eye. One of the points I wanted to mention with the essays is that you need a third eye, somebody to, like Louis said, you could have all the experiences, you could be prepared for the scholarship, but then you are not writing the right things. So you might have somebody to say, oh, this is what and what you need to do right. It must not necessarily be a Chevening scholar, but you just have somebody to say, oh, this is what you have. You could be correcting your English, your language, your grammar, your structure. You need somebody to look at the essays for you. Or Louis.
Yeah, I think that I don't think it's wrong. I think that it's okay. For my previous applications, I got people to review, but the one that I eventually won with, I didn't get anyone. That one I was just on a very low key. So, but I think it's good to get people to review. If you do find someone to review for you, I've reviewed people's essays, but one thing I personally don't do is that I do it because I'm training myself to be a lecturer as well. So I don't tell you what, I don't write it for you. I only guide you and say, I think, and maybe because Toastmaster, I just say, in my own opinion, I think you might, something like that. So if you do have that, they help you, they read with a different kind of eye and give you critical feedbacks. So it's not, and don't think that when you send your essay to someone to review, they will help you reconstruct it. No, they don't have time. So they're only just going to read and give you feedback, and then you effect the changes and then you submit. It's your thing. It's your story. And don't let your story be changed because someone is reading you and you think the person is an expert, is a scholar. A scholar might not understand your story. So you have to own your story. Just understand the process and tell it well.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the next question.
The next question here is, do I need to have my transcript from my university? I think this is talking about before application.
You don't need your transcript to apply to Chevening, but you need your transcript to apply to the schools. All the 3 universities that you're going to apply for admission, they are going to need your transcript. But Wisdom, you don't need transcript to apply for Chevening now. You don't need it.
No, there's a provision for applying for uploading your transcript, but it's either you upload your transcript or your certificate or both. So it's not mandatory.
So once you upload your certificates from your first degree is fine. But no university will give you an unconditional offer if you haven't presented your transcript because they need to see what you've done.
Next question, please. Let's see how many you can take.
Good evening. Thank you, Wisdom and Lois. Please, can I know where I went wrong in my last application? If I can't find anything wrong with my previous essays, is it advisable to use them again for another application? Thank you.
It's very simple. If it hasn't won the first time, it might not win again.
As simple as that.
Because you need to understand that if you are submitting an essay, it might look good. It might look good, but you need to really look at it again. And the people you are competing with are the best of the best. So there are so many people like that. So even if to take it up by a simple notch, don't present it again. It's almost you plagiarizing yourself now. Like the way we write essays here, even if you've written something for one essay, you can't write it again because you are plagiarizing yourself. So you have to go back. Look, you need to find what you did wrong. There has to be something wrong in it. It might just be a simple thing. Just find it and fix it.
And your story cannot remain stagnant because as the year progresses, you also make progress that needs to reflect in your application.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Okay. I love that.
And this one says, does Chevening offer scholarship for online masters?
No.
Okay.
That's nice. No. Okay, just quickly, I think I compiled some very important and urgent questions and sent to the Chevening program officers at the British High Commission. And I was able to get some responses to about 5 questions. I think I'll just do that quickly before we continue. So I'll end the session at 6:30. And the first question is, what are Chevening Scholarship Review Committee looking for in the applications they receive? Of course, like Louis said, me and Louis cannot answer these questions for you. What we are doing right now is just to offer the tips as best as we can. But the Chevening program officer, in her wordings, she said, the reading committee are looking for a wide range of things. First, eligibility. Some people have strong applications, that's true, but they do not cross the eligibility criteria. If we had time, we would have taken you through the application timeline of Chevening. I think it starts at around this time, yeah, and then you submit in December. You have
Wisdom, you can read it on the website. Wisdom, let them read it on the website.
From November to December, where the eligibility criteria is checked. All right, they have to check all your eligibility. All right, so then you have strong applications as well to portray potential leaders, ambitious people with great networking skills and a clear career plan. They also want to see that your description of how you intend to impact your country after returning is very clear. What are your short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals? Very important, Louis. I think I should emphasize it. Some people just want to write the goals. I want to be this. I think you have to state, okay, what will I achieve in 5 years? What will I achieve in 10 years? What will I achieve? Something like that. Just separate into short, not necessarily years, but into short term, into mid-terms, and then longer term. You want to say something on that, or I should just continue?
Oh, please. I was just saying it's a summary of everything that we've been saying.
Yeah.
Go.
All right. So secondly, is where can I get more information on the activities of Chevening Alumni Association in Nigeria? I think my answer will be first focus on becoming a Chevener, rather than thinking of where you're going to get more information on the activities of Chevening alumni. So focus on writing your essays right now. The application windows is very short. So you should focus on writing your essays right now. Then when you get to become a Chevener for life, then you can now begin to find answers to this question.
Levels.
Right, the answer number 3 already.
Levels.
Answer number 4. Yeah?
I said levels.
Okay.
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 For life.
Okay, can we have a Blessing Ewa ask your question very quickly within 10 seconds, please? Blessing Ewa. You can unmute yourself, please.
I think she's muted. So Blessing Ewa, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Hi, good evening. Thank you very much. That's really been an inspiring session. I had a whole lot to learn. So as at December, oh, that sorry, you're in a. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on, please.
Yes, I applied last. First question, I have 2 questions. First is I applied last year, and as at December, I got a mail that sorry, you're ineligible for this scholarship. And checking the eligibility criteria, I had like more than 2 years work experience, and I had every other stuff. And I was wondering where I must have gone wrong in the application process, because they didn't state it. They just told me I was ineligible for the application, so I cannot pull through again.
What was your grade from uni?
Sorry?
What was your grade? What was your graduation grade?
2.21.
Louis, I think that the graduating grade is not important here. One of the things that I've noticed
some people didn't cross the eligibility for graduating grade. I can say that.
Yeah, I think that the information I have, I don't know how true it is, from the last Chevening webinar I attended, is that the requirement for Chevening have no minimum requirement for your undergraduate degree. So if you have 2.2, there are people on 2.2 on who are Chevening scholars or alumni that I know.
I know.
2.2.
Yeah. I know, but I think the year after us, there were some people who actually tried it but couldn't cross to applying based on grade. I might find out. But I think for Blessing, yeah, we need to just, I mean, she also has a 2.1 anyways. So, yeah, of course, I know someone, and someone is saying, I know someone who has a 2.2. I know someone who has a 2.2. What's his name?
Can I say something very, very quickly in regards to that?
Sorry. I think just what I want to say is, Blessing, just find out, confirm all the different things, the eligibility criteria. It might not be the 2 years experience thing. If you have that, it might be something else.
Yeah, I wanted to mention very quickly on that. I think that one of the things that mistakes people make is calculating. I know somebody who was rejected, who failed to do the right calculations. Now, when you're calculating your work experience, pay attention to how many hours you work per week. Some people put unrealizable hours. They do not know the calculation, so they just put unrealizable hours. My advice would be think of a normal day work as 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So it's unrealizable. If you do, for example, if you do a 7-day work at 9 to 5, you are expecting, that's how many hours? That's around 8 hours per week, per day. That's around 40, or if I'm correct, around about 50 hours per week.
It's 7 hours. It's 7 hours for 5 working days, 35 hours.
35 hours, yeah. So some people will go and write 70 hours, for example. You know, that form specifies how many hours you work per week, not how many hours you work per day. A lot of people, because they want to fill that requirement, they begin to just fill those things. Pay attention to that. Very importantly, the number of hours you work per week, and then the number of hours you work per year as well. And they ensure that it makes a tally, it makes a total of the 2,800 work hours that Chevening needs. Which is the work hours for Chevening is not necessarily 2 years. You can achieve the 2,800 work hours under 2 years, in less than 2 years. If you are somebody that is as hardworking as Louis, of course, with lots of many things that you have done. So yeah, pay attention to all of that. Ensure that you fill those forms completely and correctly, blessing, and then before you even think of submitting your essays or your application. What's the next question?
Thank you. As at last year, I applied to 2 universities, and I got a conditional offer from them. I didn't get the scholarship. So I applied for deferment from the 2 universities. One deferred me to this year, the other did not, because I didn't do there's this something like registration fee that they were supposed to do. So I didn't do that. So only one university deferred me to this year. So like I have a conditional offer for this year already. And in the Chevening application, I'm supposed to do an essay to how I chose my 3 universities. So do I still need to write to another set of 3 universities, even if I have an offer from a university already?
If you already, thank you. If you already have an offer with the university, you want to stay with that university, that's fine. But if you want to pick 3 new universities, it's your decision, it's your application for the year. And like someone was saying, I think maybe Wisdom or something, your story might have changed. You might want to change to another university. So just ensure that for this application, you have 3 universities and 3 courses, and then you are able to tell that story. One of these universities can actually be the one that you already have a conditional offer for, which is fine. But just know that you are applying, but eventually by next year, if you do get in, you will need to present at least one unconditional offer. So I think that answers your question.
Yeah, and I want to say that I wanted to emphasize as well that you do not necessarily have to stick with your universities if that has not changed, though, at the time of your interview. So I think during your interviews, you have an opportunity to also change your university. So my point is, don't be scared. If you don't have admission from universities yet, don't be scared of telling your stories. Look for the university that you really want to go to, express yourself in your essays, and don't be afraid to say, oh, am I going to get admission here or not? If the worst comes to the worst that you do not get admission in those universities, you have an opportunity to change them again. And of course, you can reorder. Your first choice might not necessarily be the choice that you will go to eventually. So those options are there, they are flexible, and there are things that you could change. So go ahead writing your story. I think that with the short application period you have now, don't focus so much on the admissions into universities. Honestly, it will tire you out because you have a lot of forms to fill, you have essays. Don't focus so much on that. Look at their deadlines and think of when are you going to meet their deadlines. Put that aside and focus more. Think about writing your Chevening essay and ensure that it stands out as well.
Okay, thank you, Wisdom. We have this question from Zainab Gorin Aminu. And the question says, hello, I am aspiring to study Masters in Education and International Development. My first degree is in microbiology, and I'm currently undergoing a master's degree in Policy and Development Studies. Do I need to include the master's in my application?
I think you should answer that. You have that experience.
You have the experience. The thing is, you might not play too much because, you know, what you need to get a master's qualification is an undergrad. So play more on the experience in terms of work, in terms of impact, more than merely the master's. That's what I would say. I may be wrong, but I think play more on what have you done with STAR, the situation, the task, the action you carried out, and the results that you recorded after you studied microbiology. And it's very easy. You can, by the time you want to talk about the masters that you're doing, you're not using the masters as your justification. You're using that story as an inspiration, as a justification for why you were inspired to even take that masters in the first instance and why you want to take this masters.
Okay, is Mr. Wisdom still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah. I was just saying that, I was just saying that it's better to play more on the story of impact than the current master that he's doing.
Okay.
Yes.
So Zainab, hope you got that very well. And Mr. Wisdom, are you able to have access to those questions you sent?
On the chat room, in the chat, I think so. Yes.
You
yes.
sent to. No, I think we've exhausted the questions in the chat already. The ones that were sent in that were sent in the form.
I can't find your question. I don't know where you sent it to. I have two devices on this meeting right now, so I don't know which of the devices you must have sent it to. So please, can you send that question to everyone? Let's see it, please.
Do I have, okay, transcript? We've talked about that.
Okay. Someone is asking, I think this is coming from Blessing. Please, will you have the chance to review some of applications? I believe it will help a whole lot. They've talked about that earlier anyway. I don't think there is need to still go back to that.
So Louis, a question here. What is the most important advice you can give to someone who is applying for the Chevening Scholarship? Just one word.
One word. Don't lie.
One advice, just one advice that you give to someone, yeah.
My advice is don't lie. Be yourself. Be your best self. Just tell that story, because like, own that story and tell it. Tell it as best as possible and don't lie.
Don't lie. Very important. Don't lie. Okay. So I think that if there's no more questions, this should be the end of the seminar. My most important advice would be I see
one of my students. Can you hear me?
Does Chevening accept TOEFL and IELTS? Chevening is no longer accepting English language requirements for Nigerian applicants. So this person is from Nigeria. So I'm telling you right now that Chevening does not need your English language requirements anymore. So you do not need to just forget about that part and just go ahead and apply. So I think that's all the questions. Louis, do you have anything else to say?
I see two questions and I want to quickly touch. One is from, so someone is a former student of mine at the university. Says, I'm a final year student. Can I apply? We've said this, Balogun, Tohib, we've said it before. For you to apply for Chevening, you first need to have graduated, because the master's program, the universities will only give you admission if you have had your first degree, you have the certificate, and you have the transcript. That's when you can get admission. And that is when you can also apply for Chevening, because you need to have a post, so you need to have graduated. Then you need to also be able to exhibit your work experience. However, since I can see that you are an actor student, you can use an actor story actually, because it's a volunteering experience. And you remember that in AAU, then we calculate the number of hours that you do work for an actor. So you can calculate that out, those number of hours, and talk about the project, each of the projects. For example, say you did on Project WETIP or this one or that one. Talk about the project that you've done. Once you're able to tell that story very well, it counts as your volunteering experience. But first, you must graduate. Then someone asked a question and said, what does unconditional and conditional offers mean? Did you hear?
Uploading of your passport bio page, we have a brief comment about it. It says that if you have a passport, you can upload the bio page. But if you do not have it right now, you can say no and submit it at point of interview. I think this is very important, so that having a passport or not does not discourage you from applying. If you do not have a passport right now, then you do not necessarily have to upload, but you must upload a form of identity. That's one. The second point of note is that we have just been told that the English language requirement has been waived globally. That sounds like good news. It's been waived globally. So you do not need the English language requirement anymore. You just need to go ahead and apply for the scholarship. Unless your university asks for it, of course. Most universities will still ask for it. So you definitely have to check against your universities to see if they have that requirement and see if you can still meet it or look for alternatives. Any other question? I think we're running out of time already.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes, we can.
So there's a question about the difference between conditional and unconditional offers.
Okay.
Conditional offers is the university has offered you a place, but you haven't nailed it. You haven't taken, like, it's like they've used pencil to write your name, you know? So what can happen is maybe you presented some documents and you've not presented the other documents. So in order for your admission to be unconditional, you need to present the remaining documents to be able to get an unconditional offer. So condition is that it is conditioned on a certain document. Unconditional is that you have met all the requirements for that admission. You don't need to present anything anymore. What you need to begin the scholarship application process is just the names of the universities and the course. You don't need to have unconditional or conditional. But by the time you go for interview, it is advisable that you have it. If you don't have it, it's fine. But there would be a time, a particular date, the last day that you can present your unconditional offer. At that point, you must have at least one. So that's just the way it works. But for admission, I don't think you should have any stress with university admissions. If anybody have any problem, and if you're applying to Sussex, reach out to me.
Yeah, okay. I think I mentioned at the beginning that Louis is the international student ambassador at the University of Sussex.
No,
I'm can you
business
your
development officer.
again? What did you say?
I'm the business development officer. I'm the one in charge of admissions from West Africa. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Balogun, can you send your questions again? I think we have missed that.
Time.
Okay. I think to save time, we can have more questions sent into the email, and then Mr. Lewis will help respond to them later. So for those of you who have questions, please send them to the email that was earlier sent to you, and we'll get them across to Mr. Lewis. Since we've spent almost 2 hours already, we started by 5 and it is 6:37 already. And I really want to say this quickly before we leave. For those of you who are thinking about the kind of story that could get the attention of the team, of the application reviewing team. You know, in Nigeria, we don't like to do anything for free. You must engage yourself in something that impacts humanity, is something that is impacting your community. You don't want to wake up, sleep, or eat, go to your work, you come back. You don't care about what is happening in Nigeria. You don't care about what is happening in your community. Okay, like what is trending right now is Baby Ninja. You don't care. You know, I will use the case of Wisdom as an example. The young leaders right now in Nigeria, what we do is to give
deadline to submit the unconditional offer is 15 July 2021. Somebody asked a question about that. The deadline to submit the unconditional offer is 15 July 2021. So you have a lot of time to do that. What you should be doing is to focus how do we say it? It's bye-bye, but not goodbye.